poor man is mocked during a job interview. Years later, he returns as the company's new CEO, stunning everyone who doubted him. Victor Hargrove stood in front of the mirror, his heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. He adjusted the collar of his worn shirt, the fabric frayed at the edges. Today was the day that could change everything for him. What if they laugh at me again? He thought, recalling the harsh words and scornful glances he had faced in the past. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside him. I can do this, he whispered to himself, seeking courage in his reflection, even if it felt fragile. As he stepped into the conference room, the air felt thick with judgment. The executives, all dressed in sharp suits and polished shoes, turned their heads toward him, their expressions a mix of amusement and disdain. Look at him, one executive whispered to another, barely hiding a smirk. Victor's stomach churned. He could feel the weight of their gazes pressing down on him, making him feel small and invisible. Good morning, he said, forcing a smile as he approached the long table. His voice trembled slightly, and he could hear the laughter that followed his greeting. What is he even doing here? Another executive scoffed, and Victor's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. He felt the walls closing in, the contrast between his dreams and the cruel reality of the moment stark and painful. In that moment, Victor struggled to maintain his composure. He could feel the sweat on his brow, the knot in his stomach tightening with every second. The room buzzed with condescension, and he fought against the urge to turn and run. Would he ever escape this cycle of mockery? As he stood there, it became clear that this was not just an interview. It was a trial, a test of his resolve. But humiliation has a strange way of igniting determination. Each laugh, each scornful glance became fuel for his spirit. Victor clenched his fists under the table, the heat of anger surging through him. I will not let this define me, he thought fiercely. The seeds of a future he wanted to build began to sprout within him, slowly but surely. Why should we consider you for this position? One of the executives asked with a raised eyebrow, a challenge hanging in the air. Victor's heart raced. This was his moment, and despite the pressure, he felt a flicker of clarity. I may not have the perfect background or the best clothes, he began, his voice steady despite the storm inside. But I have a passion for technology and a determination to succeed. I know I can learn and grow. His words felt like a lifeline, pulling him from the depths of despair, but doubt lingered in the air. The laughter had died down, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. Passion doesn't pay the bills, another executive said, leaning back in his chair, arms crossed. Victor's heart sank again, but he refused to back down. Maybe not, he replied, but passion can lead to innovation, and innovation can change the world. I want to be part of that change. For a brief moment, Victor saw a flicker of interest in one of the executive's eyes. Could it be? Was there a chance that they were listening? But as quickly as it appeared, the moment slipped away, replaced by the familiar looks of disbelief. He felt the familiar sting of rejection creeping back, but he pushed it away. As he wrapped up his thoughts, Victor realized that this experience, as painful as it was not the end. It was a beginning. The laughter of those executives echoed in his mind, but so did his own words of defiance. He would not let their scorn extinguish his fire. He could feel the determination solidifying within him, a spirit forged in the flames of humiliation. The meeting ended, and as he walked out of that cold room, Victor felt a shift inside him. The laughter and scorn would haunt him, but they would also serve as a reminder of what he wanted to achieve. He was determined to rise above it all, to prove that he was worth more than their derision. And in that moment, he knew he would do whatever it took to build the future he dreamed of. Victor Hargrove sat at his small desk in the dim light of his apartment, staring at the computer screen. It had been weeks since the harsh reality of his interview, and he felt lost. A flashback took him back to that day, the laughter, the scornful looks. He shook his head, trying to push the memory away. He had to move forward. Why did I even think I could make it? He muttered to himself, frustration rising in his chest. But deep down, a spark of determination flickered. No, he said firmly. I will not give up. Victor recalled the days that followed the interview. He spent countless hours researching technology online, watching videos, and reading articles. Each time he faced a setback, each time he struggled to understand a concept, he felt a wave of despair wash over him. Yet, he always managed to bounce back. In one of those moments, he called his old friend, Sam. I don't think I can do this, Victor confessed, his voice trembling with uncertainty. It's too hard, and I keep failing. Hey Vic, Sam replied, his tone steady and encouraging. Everyone struggles at first. Remember, even the best had to start somewhere. Just keep pushing through. You'll get it. Victor took a deep breath, feeling a little lighter. You really think so? I know so. Just keep at it. You've got this, Sam insisted. Motivated by Sam's words, Victor threw himself into his studies. He spent hours coding, learning about software development, and understanding the tech industry. He felt like a fish out of water at times, but slowly, things began to click. The small victories, solving a coding problem, creating a simple app, brought him joy. One evening, after finishing a particularly tough project, he sat back, smiling at the screen. Yes, I did it, he exclaimed, pumping his fist in the air. The feeling of accomplishment washed over him, fueling his ambition even further. As months passed, Victor saved every penny he could. He worked odd jobs around the neighborhood, fixing computers and helping local businesses with their tech needs. Each dollar he earned went into his dream project, Tech Vision. It was a platform he envisioned that could help others like him, those who struggled to find their way in the tech world. One night, sitting at his desk with a cup of coffee, he whispered to himself, "This is it. This is my chance to prove I'm worth something." He opened a blank document and began to outline his ideas for Tech Vision. I want to create a place where people can learn, grow, and find opportunities, he said, his voice filled with passion. However, there were days when doubt crept in. Victor stared at the walls of his small apartment, feeling the weight of his dreams pressing down on him. What if it fails? He questioned aloud, the fear gnawing at his confidence. But then he remembered the interview, the laughter, the way he felt so small. No, he declared with resolve. I refuse to let them win. I'll show them what I can do. As he made progress on Tech Vision, he reached out to others in the field. He joined online forums, connected with mentors, and attended workshops. Each connection opened new doors for him, and slowly, he began to carve out a space for himself in the tech community. One afternoon, he received an email from a local tech incubator inviting him to present his project. His heart raced with excitement. This could be it, he thought, envisioning the possibilities. Victor, you have to go for it, Sam encouraged when Victor shared the news. This is your moment to shine. I know, but what if they don't like it? Victor replied, anxiety creeping in again. Then you learn from it. But you have to try, Sam insisted. You've worked too hard to give up now. With Sam's encouragement echoing in his mind, Victor prepared for the presentation. He spent countless nights refining his pitch, rehearsing in front of his mirror. He was determined to show the world that he had transformed himself, that he was no longer the boy who had been mocked. As he stood in front of the audience, heart pounding, he took a moment to remember his journey, the struggles, the setbacks, and the small victories. With a deep breath, he began to speak, ready to embrace the next chapter of his life. Victor stood outside the tall glass building, his heart pounding. He had waited for this moment since that fateful day when he faced the executives who had laughed at him. Now, the very company that had once scorned him was inviting him back. The thought filled him with a mix of excitement and dread. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. As he walked through the lobby, memories flooded back. He recalled the stares, the whispers, and the laughter that had echoed in his ears. Yet, he was not the same man he had been then. He was stronger, driven by the fire that had ignited within him after that humiliating day. Today, he was not just a hopeful candidate, he was a force to be reckoned with. Victor was led to the boardroom where Caroline Mercer waited. The CEO sat at the head of the table, her expression unreadable. He took a moment to gather himself. This was his chance to confront the woman who had been part of his pain. As he entered the room, he could feel the tension in the air. "Victor Hargrove," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you for meeting with me." "Thank you for coming," Caroline replied, shaking his hand. Her voice was steady, but Victor noticed a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "I know this must be strange for you." "Strange is one way to put it," Victor said, taking a seat across from her. "I never thought I would be here, discussing a merger with the company that once laughed at me." Caroline sighed, her shoulders dropping slightly. "I regret how we treated you. The pressure to perform, to look good in front of our peers, made me forget the human side of business. It was wrong." Victor felt a surge of emotions. This was what he had wanted to hear. "That day changed my life," he said, his voice firm. "It pushed me to become better, to prove that I am more than what you saw then." "I understand," Caroline said softly, her gaze dropping to the table. "But it still doesn't excuse my actions. I was caught up in my role and lost sight of what truly matters." For a moment, silence filled the room. Victor could see the weight of regret on her face. He wanted to lash out, to remind her of the pain she had caused. But instead, he took a deep breath and chose a different path. "Caroline, I'm here not just to confront the past, but to discuss the future," Victor said. "I learned that holding on to anger only weighs us down. I want to help your company." Her eyes widened in surprise. "Help us? After everything?" "Yes," he continued, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. "I have a plan that could save your company and give new opportunities to your employees. I believe we can turn this around together." "What do you mean?" Caroline asked, her curiosity piqued. Victor leaned forward, his passion shining through. "I've developed a new approach through my project Tech Vision. We focus on collaboration, innovation, and inclusivity. Your company has talented people who are struggling. We can empower them, rebuild trust, and create something great." Caroline looked thoughtful, her brow furrowed. "But why would you help us after how we treated you?" "Because I have grown," Victor replied, feeling the weight of the moment. "I understand now that true strength comes from lifting others up, not seeking revenge. I want to lead a change, not just for me, but for everyone who felt like I did." His words hung in the air, charged with a new kind of energy. Caroline's expression shifted from skepticism to hope. "You really believe that?" "I do," Victor said firmly. "This isn't just about us. It's about the future of the company and everyone who works here. Together, we can make a difference." Caroline nodded slowly, her resolve beginning to form. "Let's explore this idea. I want to understand how we can work together." As they began to outline the steps forward, Victor felt a weight lift off his shoulders. The past no longer held him back. In this moment, he was not just confronting the pain, he was building a bridge to a brighter future. Victor stood in front of the large glass doors, his heart pounding in his chest. The moment had finally arrived. He was about to meet Caroline Mercer, the CEO of the company that had once dismissed him as unworthy. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of all the struggles he had faced to get here. As he stepped inside, the air felt thick with tension. Caroline was already waiting for him in a sleek conference room, her eyes fixed on a stack of papers before her. She looked up as Victor entered, and their gazes locked. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with the weight of their shared history. "Victor," Caroline finally said, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. "It's been a long time." "Yes, it has," Victor replied, trying to keep his voice calm. "I never expected to be here today." Caroline motioned for him to sit. "Neither did I. I've thought a lot about that day. I regret how I treated you. The pressure of the job. It made me blind to the people I was affecting. Victor nodded, feeling the familiar sting of those memories. That day changed everything for me. I walked out feeling worthless, but it lit a fire in me. I promised myself I would never feel that way again. Caroline looked down, her fingers nervously tapping the table. I can't imagine how hard that must have been. I was so focused on my role that I didn't see you as a person. I only saw a candidate. It wasn't just about the job interview, Victor said, his voice stronger now. It was about the way you and the others laughed. It felt like I didn't matter. But I learned to turn that pain into motivation. I built something from the ground up, Tech Vision. I wanted to prove that I could succeed. There was a moment of silence as Caroline absorbed his words. You did succeed, Victor. I've followed your journey. You've done amazing things. Victor's heart swelled with a mix of pride and pain. Thank you, but I'm not here to gloat. I'm here because I want to help. I want to offer a solution, not just for the company, but for everyone who works here. Caroline raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What do you mean? I know the company is struggling, Victor explained. I'm not seeking revenge. I want to create a plan that can save it. A plan that gives everyone a chance for a fresh start, including those who once looked down on me. Caroline's expression shifted from skepticism to curiosity. That's unexpected. Why would you want to do that after everything? Because I believe in second chances, Victor said earnestly. I know what it's like to be dismissed, to feel like you're not enough. But I also know the power of rebuilding. If we can work together, we could turn this company around. We could change lives. Caroline's eyes softened, and she leaned back in her chair. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that today. I felt the weight of my decisions for years. I thought I had to be tough, to put business first, but I see now how wrong that was. Victor felt a wave of empathy wash over him. We all make mistakes, Caroline. What matters is how we learn from them. Their conversation continued, transforming into an exchange filled with vulnerability. Victor shared stories of his struggles, the late nights spent studying, and the moments when he almost gave up. Caroline opened up about her own pressures and insecurities, revealing the loneliness that came with leadership. As they spoke, the tension in the room began to dissipate. They were no longer just a CEO and an employee. They were two individuals who had faced their own battles and had the chance to understand each other. I wish things had been different back then, Caroline said softly. I wish I had seen you for who you were. Victor smiled gently. We can't change the past, but we can shape the future, together. With a newfound sense of understanding, the two of them began to brainstorm ideas for the company's revival. It was a moment of connection, a bridge built over the years of hurt and misunderstanding. As they discussed potential plans, Victor felt a sense of hope rising within him. This was not just a confrontation. It was the beginning of something new. They were ready to confront their past, not with anger, but with the promise of a brighter future.